Hello YouTube, this is Phil from Dad Stuff. Today I want to show you how to fit this Dunelm Venetian blind. It's a plastic blind, but it's not going to fit in the window size. So first of all, we need to look at the window size. So on this window you can see that I've got a small plastic trim which has been put in by the window installers to make the windows tidy. So I need to measure from inside of here to inside of here. Right, let's get that measurement. Okay, so from inside of the windows it's 1174. So I'm going to allow a couple of millimeters, so I'm going to cut that one to 1172. Okay, let's get to the cutting. Okay, so I've come out to the garage and put the blind onto the workbench. I'm going to use a piece of wood just to make sure that it's squared up so that all the ends are lined up properly. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make an extra long cable tie by using 2 cable ties. So I put the cable tie together, and then that cable tie is going to go around the end of the blind and it's going to squeeze it all tight. Okay, let's keep all those strings out of the way. Okay, we'll just tap it square again, and then I'm going to repeat that on the other side so that both of the sides are put together really tight. So let's spin that around. I've got it overhanging the bench. Take my first cable tie into the second cable tie, come around, make sure you've got nothing trapped in the blind. Get that tightened up. Okay, and squared. Right, so this is a 120 centimeter blind, and I need it to be slightly less than that. So obviously you can only take off a small amount with a blind. You've got to buy them as close to the window fitting as you want. So I want this one to be 1172. So the first thing I need to do is to put the metal brackets on, just temporarily pop those on, and then let's take another measurement, because that's going to affect the overall length. So we'll put one on each end and then we're going to measure again. So with the brackets it's 2 millimeters over its stated size. So it's 1202. Now we've got to do a little bit of maths. So I've got 1202, and I need to subtract from that my finished size, which is 1172, equals 30 millimeters. So I've got to remove 30 millimeters from my blind. It makes sense to take 15 millimeters off each end. So I'm going to remove 15 millimeters from each end of the blind. So I'm going to take off those metal brackets again. I'm going to remove this small plastic end cap from the first end that I'm about to cut. And then I'm going to mark on there 15 millimeters that I want to remove. So I need to take off that much off the end. So now we're going to go over to the chop saw. So I'm using a chop saw which has got a fine tooth metal cutting blade. It will also cut through the plastic, no problem. Make sure you use ear defenders and goggles, and make sure your hands are well clear from the item that you're cutting. So let's get this. So as you can see, I've got a really neat cut on the end. Whoops, I should have actually taken the plug out of the bottom one. Luckily I took off enough that will go back in. Okay, we're going to turn it around and do the same on the other end. So this time I'm going to remember to take out the little protective end cap. Not that you'll see it when the blind's in use, but take that out and put it aside. And let's cut the other end. And now I just need to slide off the cable tie, which is holding it together, put back in place the end cap, and put in the end cap from the bottom. Okay, let's go and see if it fits. So I'm back in the room where I'm fitting the blind. I've got to fit this over the trim. So I'm going to hold it in position, and rather than drilling through the trim, I'm going slightly further back with two fixings. I've got the two markings in the wall there. And the next thing I'm going to do is I've just set a little piece of tape on the drill so I can see how deep to drill. So I don't need to drill any deeper than the screw, so I'll take the screw, offer it up to the drill bit. I'm just going to put a piece of tape, a little bit of masking tape around the drill bit, so I definitely don't need to drill deeper than that, and that's how it compares to the wall plug. It's about 5mm deeper. Okay, let's start drilling. Okay, so I've set my drill to hammer mode, so it'll go into the masonry. Make sure it's turning the correct way. And then we need to pop the raw plugs in. And then finally we're going to screw the bracket into place with the gate facing forwards. Put them in by hand first. And then we'll use the electric driver. Now, because of the gap behind here, you can see that it's pulling the screws in. So what we need to do to address that issue is we're going to put some spacers, essentially washers, just in behind. So we're going to need a washer which is about 8 or 9mm thick. Okay, let's go and get one. So I'm using a dial caliper here, and I'm using the bit that sticks out the back so I can see that the depth required of my washer is about 8mm. So I've used a piece of CAD software called Onshape, and I've just drawn a really simple little 8mm washer which I'll 3D print. So my 8mm thick washers have been printed on the 3D printer. Now let's go and get them fitted. So here you can see the two little spacers that I'm using, which is going to keep the bracket stepped away from this trim.
And here you can see how the finished bracket is fitted through the holes which go into the wall rather than through the plastic trim. So that way I haven't damaged the new window trim. So you feed in, I'm feeding in one end and then the other. So the final job now is to stick on the little Velcro sticky backed pads which hold the trim on. I've put most of them on in landscape mode orientation, but the last one I'm going to put on in portrait, if that makes sense. Landscape, 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 portrait. So if this comes off and needs to go on again, you don't then get confused as to its orientation. Right, let's put that on. So let's go in up there, up to the corner. And then we finally need to put the white plastic dowel on for opening and closing the blinds. That seems great. You need to keep the string as short as you can. For safety, you need to make sure that the string can get tied out of the way so that nobody can get entangled on it. So I think that job is finished. Those blinds look great. Hope this was helpful. Bye.